Hi, my name is PALLE. I'm from Denmark, but I travel around the world full time. As I travel, I do a travel podcast called the Radio Vagabond, and this video is to show you what kind of gear I'm using to produce that podcast. This is my go-to microphone. I use this for just about everything. This is the Zoom H6, and before that I had the Zoom H5, and before that I had the Zoom H4. It's really cool. It comes with two microphones that you can detach and put back on, but I always use this one. The other one is sort of a round one. I don't really know why. They sound pretty much the same, and I always use this one. So I didn't even bring you the other microphone to show you, because I always use this one. I always have the dead cat on. These microphones are super sensitive to sound, to wind, so I always have this dead cat on. I use this for just about everything. I do a lot of clean sound for my podcast, so I have the sounds of the background. But even when I speak to the locals, I do interviews, I always use this one. Normally I never do them in kind of a studio setting. So the interviews is always done where there are some sounds around me. So I like the fact that you can sense that you're outside, or you're in a cafe, or you're somewhere that sounds a little bit different from your home, where you can hear the local language maybe being spoken from somebody who passing by, or you can hear the scooters of Hanoi, or in this case I'm in Sri Lanka right now, and there are a hell of a lot of tuk-tuks. So you can get to hear and sense the sounds of the local, and having that in stereo brings a more vivid audio picture to it, in my opinion. The only thing with this one is that it's so big, so I need a bag to carry it around. It's not something that I just slip into my pocket. So that's why after I got this one and realized how big this is, I got this Zoom H1N. This is the smaller version, and I'm really surprised how great the sound of this one is, considering how cheap it is. It's around 100 US, so it's super cheap, and the sound of it is amazing compared to that. So when I'm going out and I don't know is anything gonna happen here that I might want to record, I just slip this in my pocket, so I have this as a backup to use in case something happens. And I have a small dead cat for that one as well. Let me show you the difference between the two microphones and do a side-by-side comparison. For that, I need to take you outside on the street here in Sri Lanka. Okay, so now I'm outside here in Sri Lanka, and this is quite a busy street here, a lot of tuk-tuks passing by, so you get a sense of what it's like with a lot of stuff's going on in the background. Now I'm just gonna hold the microphones like this and let you hear the difference. Here in Sri Lanka there's a thing called Uber tuk-tuk. When you order an Uber, you can actually decide to get a tuk-tuk, which is a lot cheaper and a hell of a lot more fun. Here in Sri Lanka there's a thing called Uber tuk-tuk. When you order an Uber, you can actually decide to get a tuk-tuk, which is a lot cheaper and a hell of a lot more fun. For recording the voiceover for my podcast, I use this Microtech Gefell M930, which I attach into my Zoom and then record it into my Zoom with an XLR cable. I have a microphone stand. I even brought a microphone stand. This is something that I didn't bring for a long time. I only had this small one, but it's so small, so yeah, you need to have it a little bit on some books or something if you don't want to hold it, and it's a little bit annoying, this one. So I have a microphone stand, and this is it. It's something that I really missed. I had this in my studio when I lived back in Denmark, and since I recently decided to get a suitcase and not just my carry-on size backpack, I decided to see if I can fit this in, and I managed to do so, and it's truly amazing. Obviously, I can just take the microphone and put it in here, and then use a pop filter. But I decided to get this DAP-Audio Studio eyeball for better sound. It basically works like the Yellowtec eyeball that you might have seen, but this is the cheaper Chinese knockoff. And let me just set this up for you. I take the microphone in here. Attach this.
Okay, so this is the Microtech microphone inside the eyeball and recorded on my Zoom H6. It's attached with an XLR cable into my Zoom, and this is the way I'm recording it. Normally, I wouldn't do it in a setting like this because you might be able to hear some traffic outside. It's not the perfect setting, and also the worst part is this hard wall behind me. I wouldn't do it here. I would try to get a curtain behind me because even though it captures some of the noise coming from around it, it doesn't capture the stuff coming from behind me. It goes through the pop filter. So the sound bounces off that wall and then back on this wall and then into the microphone. So I always try to do it in a soft room like a bedroom, but I don't feel I know you that well. So with a lot of soft material. So I get a curtain behind me or even set up a recording booth inside a closet. I do that sometimes, but not so much anymore after I got the eyeball. It really helps a lot. So this is the way I do the voiceover. Recently, I also got this one. This is the Samson Q2U handheld USB microphone. It's quite cheap and I thought it might come in handy, but to be honest, I haven't really used it yet since I most of the time use the stereo function on my Zoom H6 microphone. I've also had the Shure MV88 microphone for iPhone. It's in stereo and the sound is surprisingly good. However, it's so small, I misplaced it somewhere in the world. It might be in Senegal, in a hotel, or in an Airbnb in Rio. I don't know. And in fact, it happened to me twice when I lost my first one. I bought another one, and then I lost that one too before I even got to use it. I haven't replaced it since I now have the Zoom H1. So these are my primary microphones. I have some lavalier microphones as well that I mostly use for video. When it comes to editing, I normally spend 2 to 3 full working days editing one 30-minute episode. I used Pro Tools for that up until recently. As a radio advertising producer and sound designer, it's still what I use for my radio productions, but when it comes to my podcast, the Radio Vagabond, I switched to Hindenburg Journalist Pro a few episodes ago. I did that in an effort to save time. I know it sounds weird to move from the super professional editing software to something more simple since I already have a full license for Pro Tools. But the thing is, Pro Tools has got so many options to tweak, and I tend to get super nerdy in the editing process and waste a lot of unnecessary time. So Hindenburg Journalist Pro is built for journalists, and they aren't sound engineers, so it's more simple that way. Let's see, for the time being, I like Hindenburg, and I feel that I can become more efficient in my production. That's it. I hope you like this video, and if you have any questions or comments, please shoot me an email or write in the comments below. And if you need any help in editing, producing, and publishing your podcast, it's something I can help you with. Go to my production company's website, radioguru.co.uk, and see more about that. If you want to hear some of these microphones in action, you can subscribe to the Lego TECHNIC podcast that I produced for Lego in 2018, and of course, the Radio Vagabond. My name is PALLE, and I gotta keep moving. See ya!